Alrighty, so here I am, the first weekend of the semester, and I'm working on week 3 of your course, CIT 82. And I say this because my goal is to always give you at minimum 1 and hopefully 2 weeks of content to work on. And I've been emphasizing, but I want to bring it back today, the importance of working ahead. Because working ahead means I get to review your work and you can fix something. The key to that is you got to fix it before the due date, because if you fix it after the due date, it doesn't really help you, because remember, I take off 25% for work submitted late. Okay? So I just want you to have that in your, I use this, you've heard this term carrot and sticks. I'm trying to use a carrot. Like, get this stuff done early, so in case you've missed something, I can give you that feedback and you can fix it, right? But I get it. Not everybody has the flexibility or the ability or the whatever it is to do that. But there is something to be said for in our lives. Like, here I am. I could have waited until Monday. Happens to be a holiday. I could have done that, but I wanted to get it off my list because once I'm done, then I feel better. Maybe it's just me. Okay, so you can see at this point by this little here is that I haven't published it yet because I've got to do this video and then I have to get all that content together for the review. Now, speaking of that, before I get into this content, I think I've reviewed probably 6 or 7 of the reviews that you've done, and I've seen some of your feedback. It seems like I think only one person, Anthony, I think had a little bit of a problem where it gave him all the answers. Here's the thing I want you to know, and if I didn't say this, you'll hear me say this because I'll need to do a video for the week 3 review, because that's going to happen every week because we learn such variety of content that it's good to remind ourselves, hey, did I really walk away understanding that? So here's my suggestion to you. Do these things a couple of times, right? I will review them as long as you've answered. And now, this also may change from my other class. I'm doing 15. And this week, it'd be good to hear, like, how, because I enjoyed watching the way you answered it, and I could see the way my prompts needed to be refined. Early on, I really appreciated the people doing it sooner because I could make some of those adjustments. Right? But the point is, there's a couple things that came out, some stuff I'm going to cover here today. One question that was interesting was about myself, because I noticed I don't really talk too much about me, mostly because I think I was in courses where instructors did that, and I don't know, felt weird. So maybe that's why, I don't do it. So I have been in and around web development since early on in my career. I've been working in technology since I was 18, and I'm now 62. So I've been teaching for about 20 years. I didn't really want to get into teaching. Somebody mentioned to me I was out on a site. I was doing contract work for Fresno County. Before that, I was actually doing systems engineer for Duncan Enterprises. Before that, I was doing technical work for Duncan. I did programming. I've done a variety of technology, mostly, again, web-based jobs, right? And then somebody said to me, one of my work sites, you'd be a good teacher. And I was just like, no, I don't want to do it. They're like, just try it. So I did. I showed up at Fresno City for a intro to or HTML and CSS. I freaking loved it. So went and got my master's, and then when I started teaching, and it was the whole process to actually get there, I won't go into that, but I was teaching pretty entry-level courses, and so I always wanted to reach for more. So one of the things I did is I started working with Google through a couple of contacts that I had, and working with means volunteering to help do community work, and I was sent all over the world actually to do that work. And I did that for, and again, work is in quotes because I volunteered my times while I was teaching. I was also doing all this work with in and around communities with Google, which was such a great experience. So I've been around a time or two. So anyway, if you want to know any more, come chat with me. I'd love to talk about that. And by the way, if you're in the web developer program, come talk to me. It's, as you can probably see, I am the main instructor. Many of you are taking me for all your classes, right? All right, coming back to here, I talked about this already, the due dates and the working ahead, right? So if I leave you feedback, make sure you get that updated. And working ahead is really beneficial. So late work, 25%. And by the way, many of you got this on the review for what I've seen now with week 1. And actually, a couple of you have already done week 2. Okay, the tutor for this class, Zach, I've given this here. It was also up in Simple Syllabus. You can see his hours. If you go to, and I'm just going to open this here. I'm going to go to here. All right, so if we see 82, which should be right here. So it looks like Thursday. Oh, yeah, okay, it is a little different no, it's not. January. No, this is this year. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. He is available online as well. And if you're taking 93, he does that one as well. We're looking for somebody for 28. So just FYI. Okay. Okay. So again, reach out to somebody if you need help. I think that's the point of this is like reach out to somebody, and it might be Discord, because remember, your schedule and mine definitely could be different. I'm an early morning gal. I said this, if you didn't hear me say it before, I work early. And I try to stop being in, like, having screens in my face relatively early in the day, meaning around 6 if I can. Okay, turning to this course and where we're heading. This was another good question that came out of the review. One of you asked about, like, what is, right? What are we doing? And I realized because of the way I think I covered the welcome, I probably didn't do a good job here. So here's the deal. In this class, Intro to Web Development, you're going to get just an intro to HTML and CSS. And we do that to really help you just understand the syntax and be able to read the structure of a web page. You'll see me throw a lot of using dev tools to understand how web pages are rendered and, learning the basic HTML and basic CSS. If you're moving on to CIT85 after this class is over, that class focuses primarily HTML, CSS. That's what you do. Now, what we're going to do is after, I think we spend 2 weeks looking at HTML and CSS. It starts this week, by the way. And then you're going to learn Bootstrap. Okay, and Bootstrap, I every semester I use Bootstrap. I'm doing this. I'm going out and doing research. Is Bootstrap still relevant? And it is. Now, are there other ways to create sites with frameworks to quickly prototype sites? Yeah, there are some for now. And with AI coming, for sure. Matter of fact, this week we're going to use Jimbo, a site I've never used for creating, generating a site. But the reason I do this is just to show you it's there. But the goal of this class is really for you to learn how to code HTML, CSS and Bootstrap, and then instead of you building something from the base of Bootstrap, which we don't have time to do, you'll grab a template, okay? And then that template is what you will then, based on whatever topic you want to select, build your site. And you can use a ChatGPT to create content, and you'll see me go over this requirement for how many pages and what it needs to look like, and images. So just know that is where we're heading, okay? Okay. So you want to know more about that, you're welcome to ask in this reply, and I'd be happy to talk in more detail based on your questions. So the big thing this week is we're moving, right, from having working on CodeSpace out on GitHub to working locally. And so just to facilitate that, the thing I'm going to recommend you do is this, and I'm out on my pub, and you want to do this for both your public and your private, is to come over here, go to your CodeSpace, and don't do this until you see that your particular CodeSpace has underneath it no changes. And what this means is that whatever's out on CodeSpace is what is the same as what is on GitHub. And I know it can feel like GitHub and CodeSpace are the same. They're not, right? CodeSpace is a virtualized environment taken from your repos. And now what you're going to do is stop you working on CodeSpace and start working locally, because this is also a good skill to know how to do. And you're going to see me in the next video actually talk about how do you go about that. Basically, I already gave you the content up in week 1, so I'll show you that. But before you do this, go in here. And by the way, if you don't do this, what happens is anything you did over in CodeSpace, and if you delete it, it just goes away. And that's why, A, you don't want it, right? So what I would do is make sure I see that I have no changes, and then I would come down here and I would delete it. Matter of fact, I will just go ahead and do that. And the reason is it can be a little confusing, because you'll be thinking, well, I can just open up CodeSpace, right? Can you, yes, can you, and I think I talk about this somewhere this week, can you have a CodeSpace that you have active, right? Maybe because you were out and about in the world and you needed to do something, and you have a local development environment, and then can you manage that all three, meaning local, CodeSpace, and GitHub? Sure, right? You just have to be organized about it and know how to do something called git pull. Not a bad thing to learn, but at this point, based on where you're at in the world, I don't know if I'd recommend it. Okay, so now here, I've gone over the content for this week. Now let's talk about the assignment, right? So question, clarification, or feedback, 20 points, right? And then your experience of week 2, right? So I did the week 2 review. So remember, when I'm talking about the week 2 reviews specifically, right, I'm looking at that end of the week AI assignment, because if you didn't hear me say this is a product we're actively working on and refining, and I've learned a ton in doing this project, which I'm excited about. So here's your research for this one, right? Because I've actually been thinking a lot about this. And here's your research question. Yeah, does anyone really know how AI will affect jobs, right? And I was going to I actually found a couple of videos I thought were pretty good on this topic. And then I thought, you know what? You find some content and go out there and do some research, right? Find some good resources. And then, write 150 words that summarize your thoughts and finding in your words. I totally get you guys. I totally get how using ChatGPT can be great. And here's how I use it. I am starting to, because in my instruction, what I've noticed is that I do a good draft of the way I want it laid out, and then I hand it to ChatGPT to make it better. So that's a good way to use it, is to draft it, because the thing is, I am learning by drafting, and I'm getting the experience of thinking through things, and this is what I want for you. But it's also good to lean on tools that help us communicate effectively, okay? So there's a balancing act with AI. Okay, include links to any prompts. So you may have actually used one of the generative AI tools that are out there. And then, if you've used a prompt, or if you used a website you reviewed, give us that. And then do 2 substantive replies to, meaningful commentary on their perspectives, right? And then, actually, I went ahead and kept this in here, because when Chat originally gave it to me, I was like, is it redundant? This what you need to do, kind of, but it doesn't hurt to clarify, right? So check that out. Basically a reword, but this gives you the breakdown of the points. Okay, so what I will leave you with is, coming back here, what you're going to do this week. I've already summarized here, right? So on this video, you're going to go through, I'll show you how to step back on week 1, setting up a folder locally, cloning, right? And then we'll go through the difference. And this is good to talk about. Here's Git, here's GitHub, right? Git is part of GitHub, right? And Git is the software we have, but understanding where you need to be modifying now that we're local. And again, this was true for CodeSpace. And then I noticed after I did this video, I didn't even go over this one. So in this intro to HTML and CSS, it's my content, and it's from a prior semester, and then a little bit of it is duplicated from what we did last week, but I'm okay with that because, you know, that happens. And then on Thursday night, you're going to, and by the way, this sequence of what we're doing is a little different than normal, but we're back to our normal, you know, lecture, hands-on, and then current topics. And really this week, and this is kind of what I like, is I like more hands-on stuff. I think hands-on stuff is really where we learn. Combine that with some concepts. That is, I think, a good balance. That's probably because that's how I like to learn as well. Okay, so, and then you'll have your review. And actually, I need to change the date on this, and I think I talked about this last time. As long as those reviews are done by the time, and you'll have to do it before you get to week 4. That's what I'm going to care about. But, you know, it's also, again, do it multiple times. It's a way to see how well you translated that. And I love to see, like in Anthony's case, I had mentioned to him, please submit it even if it gave you what you felt was incorrect, because those help me learn. Okay. Anyway, I'll change this to not from the 24th. Okay. All right. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon.